All right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies might have inspired it. And today on the show, we are live from Maya Cinemas for A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, the new film from Kogonada. And we had a great time over there at Maya Cinemas. It was a very packed night here in Las Vegas, along with lots of rain, and I wasn't really expecting anybody to show up, but we had a nice little turnout, and we had a really fun show, and we got that coming up here in a second. Joining me to talk about A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey are Teresa O'Hara, Chandia, and Darlene Dalmaceda. And we get into a lot of great puzzle pieces for this one, get into a lot of great stuff here and some really fun audience participation as well. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together. I've got so many episodes on the way that I can't quite figure out how to schedule that I could probably stop recording for like a month and still have episodes to go. So if you make sure you are subscribed, you will keep getting episodes because I got to put them out at some point. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening right now. And with that said, let's talk about A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. All right, so I'm David Rosen, the host of the Piecing It Together podcast. We're going to talk about A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. But before we get into it, I want to introduce my panel here. We got two first-timers to the show. Always excited to get new voices here. Starting off with Chandia. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Chandia. I'm a local Las Vegas filmmaker. And I'm excited to dive into this one. I've kind of gone through some of Kogonada's works the last couple of days, so I'm excited about this.
Right on, and happy to have you on the show. I mean, we've kind of known each other forever, it seems like, and so happy to finally get you here on Piecing It Together.
Thanks,
so, Teresa's up next. Introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Teresa O'Hara. So I'm a local Las Vegas actor, performer, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. I've seen a couple of David's live tapings now, so kind of know what to expect, but it's a little bit different being behind the microphone. So
yeah, it's all good, all good, and we'll have fun talking about the movie no matter what, and whatever puzzle pieces, whatever conversation we end up getting into, it's just a good time, just everybody getting together and talking about the movie.
Absolutely,
so,
thank you.
Absolutely, Darlene, returning to the show. Introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Darlene Dalmaceda. I'm a local Las Vegas filmmaker and actress, and I have to admit, this film wasn't my first choice to do a podcast on, but this turned out to be better than I thought. Like, I enjoyed this movie better than I thought I would, so I'm excited to go over it with David and Danny and Teresa, and we'll get down to it.
Woo.
I agree with all three of those points, by the way. So I really liked Kogonada's first two movies. I really liked. I actually just watched Columbus for the first time this week, but After Yang was the other one that I had seen, and so I was interested in seeing what he'd do with a bigger budget, a bigger scope, bigger stars, but I also, the trailer wasn't really too much, and I don't know, I didn't really have too much of interest in the idea of these two just kind of walking around. I mean, they're too damn beautiful for this story, these two people, and I feel like that's like
reject them.
It's
in the title.
Great point.
That's the point. That's point number one that you kind of got to get into here. It's like it's a tough story to swallow, and these two are just ridiculous. They're like the most beautiful movie stars. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, that being said, though, the story, though, I do like the idea of this kind of magical realism romance, like taking the walk and talk kind of genre, which maybe will come up in some other puzzle pieces, but doing something a little bit more unique with it. But I think we should get right into the puzzle pieces here, and we'll talk about what we all liked along the way with this movie. So for anyone who has not seen Piecing It Together before, what we do is we talk about the movie through the lens of what movies might have inspired it. We call those puzzle pieces. So we're going to go through a few rounds of movies that might have inspired A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. And I'm going to kick it off with the one that just kept coming to mind for me through this whole thing, and that is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, yes.
I mean, as far as a movie where people are returning to their traumatic moments and the things that kind of shape them, and in that movie, more science fiction-y, they're literally erasing or trying to save it from not getting erased. Like there's definitely a more science fiction aspect to it, but. In this movie, it's still these two people that are going through these moments together that they otherwise would not have experienced together, and how those shape them, and realizing just all the stuff that's fucked them up over the years, but deciding to go with it anyway. Just like spoiler alert for Eternal Sunshine, but the big ending of that movie that they're going to go for it. Just like with these guys, and that is one of the best movies ever, honestly.
Oh, no, it's a great movie.
And I liked this, but it's no Eternal Sunshine. But I did appreciate though one thing, because like Darlene said, wasn't really expecting much, but then ended up liking it more. I like the surrealness aspects of this. Like in the beginning when they first get to the car rental place and stuff like that. Like I like how weird this movie decided to get at times. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
But that gave me a little bit of that Charlie Kaufman feel, or any of his collaborators, and so I really appreciated that stuff. Wish there was more, but I like that. So everybody, I feel like you guys were all kind of nodding along with Eternal Sunshine here.
That's totally right on.
Absolutely.
I think
Sure.
I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Hey.
Is what I was thinking.
Some mysterious business that brings people together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's go on to another one. Danny, what do you got first?
Well, that's funny. That would have been my first pick too. I feel like Charlie Kaufman does a really good job of playing with time. And kind of doing the magical realism. I guess Being John Malkovich is another one that kind of jumps to mind. Any kind of body swapping movie. I feel like you could probably name a bunch that take your characters, who are already kind of established as adults, or they've lived a lot of life, and you take them back and you let them see their past through a different lens. And I love that, but it is hard not to compare this to other movies that I feel like have done it better.
I think as I was watching this movie, I was also picking up on little tiny bits of Synecdoche, New York, tiny bits of, I'm thinking of anything like that. I didn't realize from his previous two movies, but Kogonada is obviously a big Charlie Kaufman fan. It must be. That's just a quick tangent before we go to our next one from Teresa, but this screenplay was one of those blacklist screenplays that they had a lot of trouble making. They didn't think it would be possible, and maybe it's an uphill battle for a movie like this to actually work and come together. And I think he wanted that challenge, perhaps. I mean, he's a very skilled filmmaker, this Kogonada, and maybe he just wanted the challenge of doing something that seemed unfilmable. I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah. And all Charlie Kaufman screenplays are probably somewhat unfilmable unless you have a really great filmmaker,
Certainly.
which luckily he usually does. But Teresa, let's go to one from you.
Yeah. So the first thing that I thought of with the surrealism maybe, and then kind of they visited it in a way, even though it's different, What Dreams May Come.
Sure.
With Robin Williams and Annabella Sciorra primarily. I thought like a lot of the colors they used, like the landscape, with the pastel clouds and stuff like that, the pastel sky, it reminded me a lot of that. And then also, revisiting the past and different characters. Like I said, it's not exactly the same way in What Dreams May Come because, Robin Williams is the lead and he's encountering his son, but the son's the doctor, the daughter's the flight attendant, so characters are switching around, and these characters didn't switch around. It was more just straight on, you're meeting yourself, type of thing. So, but yeah, that was one that I thought of for sure.
That's a great one, and that's one I haven't thought about that movie in a long time. I got to rewatch that one of these days. Yeah, I remember it being really good.
Yeah,
that's a great one, and as far as the visuals and all that kind of stuff, that's what I was hoping for out of this movie.
Yeah.
And again, just like the surrealness, I wish it leaned in even further, but because he's such a visual director, and to go in that surreal nature would be great.
You're right. I agree. It could have gone even further. When you're talking about that and I'm thinking about it, absolutely, it could have gone further. But I watched What Dreams May Come a lot in the past, not recently, but it's always, I did see it in the theater. There you go, dating
Nice.
myself, yes. I saw it when it came out.
I think I might have too, and that might be the last time I saw it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's super emotional, heavy movie when
Yeah.
you get into it. It always does make me cry. I am that person. I was crying during this movie, so
Nice.
yeah.
Right on.
Anyway.
Darlene, let's go to one over there.
Well, you mentioned walking and talking movies. I think the master of this genre is Woody Allen.
Sure.
Because I thought of like, especially like after the musical part, like there's that little part where she's kind of like flirting with him and he's flirting with her, and it was very Woody Allen-esque, like with the whole jazzy music type of thing, and also Woody tends to have interesting visuals in his movie, even though he's considered more of a heavy dialogue type of director. So that's what made me think about it. Also, La La Land, like the musical part of it with La La Land, and also the characters tend to wear primary colors like Mia and Sebastian in La La Land.
Yeah.
And then also,
I think that's a really good one. That's something I was thinking about, but the primary colors, that's like another angle of it that I was thinking more about the idea that they kind of know that they're bad for each other, but they're also pushing each other and to be more open and all that.
Yeah.
Also, to the Woody Allen one, I was thinking about Midnight in Paris. So I mean that
Yes.
goes right there with your Woody Allen there. So I think those are both really good ones to include here. I'm going to go, I might as well get this out of the way. I was talking about Kogonada's other films. I do feel, and I thought this ahead of time, but I do feel it fits here really well, is Columbus, his first film, which is a movie about two people who they meet in this situation where they're just kind of stuck in this town, and they just kind of walk around talking, looking at great architecture in Columbus, and just having life moments and conversations. I know, Danny, you watched it this week as well, right? Yeah. And I feel like we are doing that on a bigger, grander, slightly more surreal scale here. Were you thinking about that as well?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I watched his previous two movies leading up to this, and I actually preferred this one over his previous two. I still think it had a lot of issues, but I felt like on a technical level, at least, it was a step up from what he had done before. I felt like with Columbus and After Yang, he treats his actors, I think in a lot of cases, like part of the scenery. Yeah. And he sets them up in a way that they are meant to just be kind of statuesque. He's placing them like, chess pieces in the frame.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful, from an aesthetic standpoint, but it seems to limit the performances. I feel like the actors aren't as free to, improvise or the blocking doesn't really move them around the way that I'd like to see. So this to me felt like there was more camera movement. There was the editing of it felt like it flowed a lot better. I really appreciated the score, and I forget the composer's name, but it's the same guy who did Spirited Away, so I was excited about that. But yeah, I do feel like in terms of story, I felt like this was.
Yeah, and this is a bigger story. There's more to it. There's more interesting things happening. Whereas, like Columbus, for example, is literally just scenery with people talking in the scenery, and like it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. But this definitely has more meat to it, so to speak.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Danny, let's go to another one from you.
Okay, I'm gonna reference this one because I just kind of really want to draw attention to it. It's called The Guilt of Janet Ames. It's from 1947. It's not a very well-known classic film. It's one of those that if you buy like a film noir box set, it's in a pack with like 20 other movies, and it just kind of falls into the shuffle. But I came across it a few years ago, and I can just kind of read you the synopsis here. A bitter war widow meets a soldier her husband died saving. As he defends the sacrifice's value and battles alcoholism, she struggles with complex grief while they help each other heal. And essentially, the way that movie is structured is the widow is talking to the guy that her husband died saving in the war, along with a few other men. And through, I guess, therapy, they go back in time and they see the lives of the men that her husband saved. And she gets to kind of, weigh the meaning of that. Like, what was the sacrifice for? Like, what were these men, hoping and dreaming of doing with their lives? And so she kind of comes to terms with it and makes peace with it that way. So.
It's like a even bigger version, theme-wise, of what he's kind of trying to do here.
Yeah.
Here, it's love. It's relationship. It's get out there and date.
Yeah.
But there's these big ideas. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it sounds interesting. Yeah.
It's really good. I would recommend it.
Right on. Right on. I have to check it out. Teresa, how about you? Next.
Yeah, so this does not fit with the whole movie, but I wrote it down as soon as I was like, oh my gosh, that makes me think of that. It may be cheesy. I love the first Hot Tub Time Machine movie.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. Thank you. Okay. Yes, thank you. I'm a big fan of that movie. And when I saw, at first I was like trying to place him, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Kevin Kline. Like with Phoebe, what's her last name?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller, sorry. Yeah. I knew. But so when I saw Kevin Kline in that moment where it's like, I don't know, towards the end of the movie, but when he appears to them, and I was like, Chevy Chase and the Hot Tub Time Machine, because it's totally mysterious. It's like, what is he doing here and why? And that's what Chevy Chase is in Hot Tub Time Machine, obviously, is that mysterious man who's like, hey, cryptic, you better do this or this is going to happen. It's like, what? Who was that? And so
good.
Yeah, that just made me think of that.
I love it. And I was thinking of like various time travel movies. So I mean, why not? That's a great one to include.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really fun one. I love it. Darlene, let's go to you.
Going back to the school play, I actually have never seen the show, but I know a few things about it. Euphoria.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a moment, like I know there's an episode where they do a school play about, the dark secrets of their classmates or something. They expose them in front of the whole student body.
I've seen that meme, but I've never actually seen the show.
I
so.
have
I've never
seen
seen
it,
the show,
yeah.
but I know about that episode. And then also, I thought about the Adjustment Bureau, about fate versus free will. Even though it's done in a different way in that movie, but just going through all these different doors and ending up in all these different places. That's what made me think about that movie and the couple that gets together, Emily Blunt and Matt Damon. Just kind of reminded me of
And we
Sarah
get that
and David.
that Born Identity joke. So,
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, the Born Identity joke.
Yeah, that fits in with that very well. Yeah, good stuff, both of
Yeah,
those.
totally.
I'm going to go a movie I barely remember, so I don't know. This might be a bit too far out, but whenever I think of magical realism romances, I always think of that Across the Universe, the Beatles musical.
Yes.
So I know there was a lot of like that, fantastical visuals and the music and the swelling strings and all that kind of stuff and just big romantic gestures. So a lot of that, this movie got, like I said, I liked that it got weirder, but it wasn't quite as broad as that movie.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think, there's definitely some similarities involved there. So
Totally. I'm thinking, why didn't I think of that one too?
there's another one. Absolutely.
Those are good.
Let's go to one more from you, Danny.
This is another one that I feel like has some problems, but I know it has a lot of fans, and I think it kind of falls within the same like genre almost. It's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Sure.
And there are moments of like true like beauty in that film, and I think Ben Stiller does an amazing job with it. I do feel like it suffers the same problem of it's got this message of like, going out and being spontaneous and having an adventure, but then it's kind of undercut by, say product placement. For this one, it was Burger King.
Yeah.
And there's a Papa John's product placement in Secret Life of Walter Mitty that I still have not recovered from. Amazing. And I think I need to watch it again just to be able to forgive it. But, to me, this didn't have that kind of life to it. I think what keeps me at arm's distance from Kogonada's films is I think the aesthetic to me feels too sanitized. It feels too IKEA, if that makes sense. The recurring use of like primary colors, I feel like everybody's closet is just red, yellow, and blue.
Right.
When I see characters, they don't feel like they've dressed themselves. They feel like they've been dressed, by a wardrobe stylist.
I felt this way about the doors that they were going through. Like I was like, I've never seen a door that looks like any of those doors.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like this universal theme of and no doors look like that.
But I think in terms of home video, it may be wise to put this in a 2-pack with, Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah.
Do better that way.
That's a good one. I like that a lot. Let's go to one more from you, Teresa.
Okay, yes, one more. It's a little obscure, I guess, but not really. I mean, it's, I think, from the 90s. It just made me think of the movie, and I had to think, I was like, what was it called again? Defending Your Life with Meryl
Yes.
Streep and Albert Brooks. Yeah. It's a 90s one, I think. Yeah. But I was like, it's not the same story, obviously, but they are essentially Margot Robbie's character and Colin Farrell's character are defending their lives in a way. Like
Sure.
they're fighting to be together. They're risking it all. I think of the scene in Defending Your Life where they're that iconic scene, if you've seen it, where they're on the bus and there's running towards each other and stuff. Like that's the same kind of vibes that it gave me.
They were dead in that.
Yeah,
right?
they're dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And they're trying to reincarnate, I guess, basically. So yeah, so a little bit different, obviously, but yeah, just that, I'm a sucker for a love story. I do love a rom-com, and this was a fantasy rom-com, so that just took it up a notch. But
well, that's another thing I liked about this movie. Even if I didn't love it and I didn't love everything about it, it wore its heart on its sleeve, and it was very unironic. In a way, which everything nowadays is so ironic.
Right.
And so
it was.
I like that about it. And that kind of brought me back to the 90s.
Totally.
A lot, so,
yeah.
Darlene, any more you want to bring up there?
Oh, just what Danny said about it being, what was the word that you said? It was sanitized?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about it until you mentioned it, but I guess if you think about the films of Frank Capra,
Oh, yeah.
It's a throwback to those types of wholesome films that he used to make that we don't see it anymore.
Sure.
It's like that type of film. I mean, the last film I remember seeing in that vein would be The Majestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was with Jim Carrey and some other actors that were in it, some like Martin Landau and also the same guy that was in The Shawshank Redemption. I think he was in that movie.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, nobody knew what to do with it.
Nobody knew what to do with it. So I feel like this is the kind of movie that it's hard to market.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of movie that you don't see that type of movie anymore. Like, it doesn't have big explosions.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not ironic like David said. It's just like kind of like a very nice, wholesome movie, even though it drops F-bombs or whatever. As close as you can get to being wholesome in the 21st century. So I think that's a great point that you brought up. And right on. I'm wondering how this movie is going to do. Like you said, it's not really we obviously don't have a huge crowd here tonight. And I was actually looking earlier at the various screens that this is playing on, and none of them have any tickets sold. And I'm like, this is probably not going to do very well. I just think it's a tough sell, even with these two huge stars. Yeah. It's just not the kind of movie that I think really does that well nowadays. But it was interesting. I think it could. I think another thing. I guess this would be more of a closing thought that we'll get to. But I really love the soundtrack, and I feel like if this movie was a hit, it could have been a big soundtrack movie. But anyway, let's open it up to the floor. See if we have any puzzle pieces out here. Does anybody have anything that we didn't mention yet back there?
I have two.
All right.
Okay. All right. So my first one is the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because of going in from reality to dreams and people playing different characters, as in this the main character plays his dad, and when you mentioned What Dreams May Come, that made me think of that movie.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, those two movies definitely go together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The colors and the sets and everything. But the first movie I thought of, maybe 4 minutes into this movie, because all I watch is horror movies. This is probably the first rom-com I've seen in years.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Other than Freaky or Friday, which
Sure.
I watched because I had to.
Yeah.
So in my soul, as I'm watching this, I'm like, this is gonna go bad at some point. Like, at some point, this is gonna turn into a horror movie, and it very well could be. Like, it could be super claustrophobic, and that these characters never get out of this,
Right.
time circle that they're
That's
in.
what you
I
want to
thought
happen
about
to
that at
you.
one point. I'm like, are they gonna get out of this situation? How are they gonna get back home?
Yeah, this could go
And they lost
nightmare
their car,
very
how do they
quick.
get back?
Very
Like,
true.
purgatory,
Yeah, yeah.
But the movie I thought of was I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Yeah, like
So,
more Charlie Kaufman.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it felt very similar to this, but
Yeah.
like in a dark way where they don't really make it out.
Yeah, and it doesn't get darker than I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That is such a dark movie, and yeah, I was thinking about that as well. And I also, back to my first piece, Eternal Sunshine. One of the scariest. It's a romance, but one of the scariest shots ever is when he goes to turn that guy's body and he doesn't have a face on either side.
Yeah.
Like his stuff is just so bizarre.
It
but
is.
anyway,
In a good way.
right here.
So I thought David and his dad had a really interesting relationship throughout the whole thing. He gets his heart broken in high school, and his parents are there to comfort him, and then they're also there to support him at his prom or his performance. And then, when David gets to talk to him about how worried he is about his birth and how he gets to comfort him, it reminded me of a scene in Avengers Endgame, when Iron Man goes back in time and runs into his dad, and his dad is actually expecting Tony's birth. So he's like, it's going to be okay. Like, I think you're going to do good. Everything's going to work out. And then also just like the line from Superman of the son becomes the father and the father becomes the son. When, he walks in, and now he's the dad. He's kind of himself and his dad in a sense. So he's experiencing what it would be like to be the dad and the son in that moment. So I thought that was a really cool dynamic.
And it's interesting too to bring up two superhero things, which we all know have taken over everything with entertainment. But movies like this used to be a thing in the 90s.
Yeah,
they used to be.
So,
Sure
yeah, we used to
did.
get these kinds of themes in
did.
a romantic comedy, or just a straight up romance. Doesn't even have to be a comedy. And but nowadays it's in superhero stuff. But I mean, it all kind of comes back around, and maybe we'll see more of this kind of thing. But right here.
It's a Danny Boyle movie. It's called A Life Less Ordinary.
I've never seen that one.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So it's both characters are problematic, but it's dreamy. And at the end, like you stated earlier, at the end they go for it.
Yeah. Right on.
So that's kind of like the whole premise. There's two people that are thrown together on a journey.
Yeah.
At the end, they go for it, and they live
And
happily ever after.
and without seeing it being a Danny Boyle movie, I'm sure that things get very strange visually. So
It's fantastic. So that's what I was thinking of throughout the whole thing. Danny
beautiful.
Boyle, yeah.
Right on. Right on. Right here.
So it felt like it was Holy Motors meets Before Sunrise.
Yeah, it's Before Sunrise for sure. Holy Motors. Tell us about Holy Motors, because I've heard that movie is insane, and I've actually never seen it.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I would not be able to describe it.
Yeah. Okay.
With
Fair
the
enough.
surrealist part of it.
Yeah.
And then, in Holy Motors, he's driving a limousine and he's taking on different roles.
Yeah.
So kind of like here, just in this one, they're in a 94 Saturn rather than a limousine.
Yeah. Sure.
And then even in the middle of the movie, they're like on a stage. And it's like they're actors on a stage.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Workshopping. And so that kind of ties into Holy Motors as well. And then just the talking and romance part reminded me of Before Sunrise.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like kind of the ultimate walk and talk. I mean, other than Woody Allen, like Darlene brought up. So, yeah, great stuff there. And I got to watch that.
Motors.
Yeah, I got to watch that movie. Did a hand go up there? Yeah.
I mean, there were a few movies. I mean, the Doorways thing, other than Monsters Inc. But
Yeah.
architecture with Kogonada, the obvious comparison to me was Antonioni.
Sure.
All
yeah.
his, you watch L'Ouverture or The Passenger, all those films have some kind of architecture and doorway
Yeah.
thing. But the movie, the weird one that I kept coming up with was a lot. I was thinking more, not so much Woody Allen, but late Jim Jarmusch, especially Broken Flowers, weirdly enough, which doesn't really connect too much. But in terms of like a road trip movie, trying to find yourself and a lover or a soulmate, that
Sure.
was the one that kept coming into my mind. It's like, was he trying? it confused me on like, was he just trying one perspective or is he trying to tell both? Because it starts with Farrell's perspective.
Sure.
And like I was worried for a lot of this movie, is it's just going to be a male perspective with a female muse
Right.
kind of coming in. He kind of evaded it, but yeah, this like it felt like a lot of the later Jarmusch films, the more poetic ones. He was aiming for a little bit of Broken Flowers, a little
Patterson, yeah, but yeah, that would, I think, almost more Patterson than Broken Flowers, but yeah, both are good examples of that late era Jarmusch, and yeah, like that era though of like Antonioni and like all those things, like I think that's probably all of Kogonada what he's going for is that era of filmmaking with everything he's done so far. So, yeah, good stuff there, absolutely. Anything else before we get into some closing thoughts here? Oh, we got one more.
Aside, Black Mirror, they near when they were like at the when it said the car rental company, they kind of like poked fun at it. They were like, "Oh, imagine if there was a service that could set you up with their soulmate," and so it seemed like they kind of knew that they were that kind of service, but not really addressing it. I wish that the movie would have gone further into that. But in Black Mirror, there's literally an episode dedicated to like finding soulmates like that through technology and
all right, very cool. Right on. I like that. Yeah, and like I said, I like the surreal kind of stuff, especially mixed in with something that's usually just a little bit more straightforward. So, let's get into some closing thoughts. So, Danny, anything you want to mention about the film that we didn't talk about?
I feel like I would have been a lot more engaged had it set up the scenario a little bit better. I felt like it was jumping into the big, bold, beautiful journey before I had really gotten to know any of the characters or what what they were facing, what their arc was being set up for. So I suppose that was the first thing that kind of and when they first get to that lighthouse and they go in, there's no moment of like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, like it just jumps from one thing to the next.
Yeah, which I suppose is intentional. If you're trying to go for the dream, like the vibe of, in dreams you don't really question what's happening. Right. So I suppose that was the intention, but it did take me a minute to kind of recalibrate. Knowing that okay, this movie is going to just treat it as if this is, I don't know, reality for them. It really does feel like they're in purgatory. It feels like an afterlife. Yeah. So,
they died at the wedding. That's dark. Teresa, how about you?
Oh yeah, well, I definitely agree with what you said, and what you said just now. So thinking about it from an actor's standpoint, I definitely wish the characters would have gone further too. I think they could have gone a lot further. I mean, and that's probably due to the writing more than their, acting choices.
Sure.
I admire both of them as actors. I love Margot Robbie, and Colin Farrell's okay, but I love your shirt, by the way, David.
Oh,
good shirt, good nod.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I think, there's a saying, "Go for broke." Yeah, I think both characters could have gone for broke a lot more, even. But I was happy to see a lot of the tender moments too, like the ones that made me cry. Like it's sentimental for me. With like my relationships with people in my life. My personal life. But what I'm getting at is I just love to see it. Like I loved the fact that I was like, oh my God, it's Lily Rabe as the mom, because I love her as an actor.
Good.
Yeah. So I was just happy that she was mom, and that was really sweet.
That must have been interesting for her to act as Margot Robbie's mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was thinking that as well. I'm like, well, this is an interesting acting exercise. But I mean, they made it work, obviously. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that was cool.
How about you, Darlene?
I wanted to follow up on what you said as far as going for broke. I think that I wish that they had bumped up more about the sci-fi aspect of it, especially since there is an homage to HAL 9000 from 2001.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Because you see, like, you literally see the HAL light on the GPS. Also, Spike Jonze.
Yeah, I was thinking about her.
I was thinking about that as well, because like Colin Farrell's character kind of reminds me of Joaquin Phoenix's character a little bit. Kind of like that nebbishy dude, and how technology like really it does control our lives, with all the AI stuff. Like it could have put. I know that they were like you were saying, like they're trying to do the Capra-esque, sanitized, wholesome type of vibe, but it could have really gone to a darker place if Kogonada decided to do that. I'm not familiar with his work. This is the first time I've ever heard of him. Like you guys are more familiar with him than I am, it seems like, but I mean, I don't know if that's his style at all or not, like, or if he would ever do a film like that, but and maybe it would have made it a little more interesting if it was just a little bit darker.
I will say watch After Yang, because it is a very strange take on technology. I'll at least say that. Like maybe not necessarily darker, but weird. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'll just kind of continuing on with talking about performances. I'll just say, like, I started this off joking that they're just so damn beautiful, those two, and I love these actors. I think that they're both great, but I feel like maybe this would have been better with comic actors. Like I think back to Eternal Sunshine. I think of like Jim Carrey would be great in something like this. I don't know about Kate Winslet, but maybe somebody, somebody who's like got a little bit more of a comedy aspect to her. But I think that's where this could have like maybe gone up that extra notch. I
think you're right about that.
But yeah, I mean, I do think it's an interesting film, though, and I wouldn't say I loved it, but I definitely liked what he's going for, and I think it's an interesting, unique kind of thing from somebody who makes these very, very just beautiful, but kind of like we were talking about, nothing really going on in the movies before. So yeah, it's a different kind of thing. But Danny, where can people find you and your films and everything you're up to?
I run a production company with my partner Rachel. It's called Desert Cactus Films. We specialize in VFX productions, old VFX techniques, miniatures, matte painting, stop motion animation, things like that. So you can find us on Instagram, Desert Cactus Films, or desertcactusfilms.com.
Right on. How about you, Teresa?
Awesome. Well, I do perform here in Las Vegas locally, doing theater, immersive things, all kinds of things, right? But then I also just started my new podcast, which is still a fledgling podcast, but I'm very excited about it. It's been a long time coming for me. So it's called A Tree Grows in Oak Park. I'm from Oak Park, Illinois, so a suburb of Chicago, very close if you've never heard of it. But so yes, and the tree part is me, because Tree is my nickname growing up from my family.
Right
so
on.
I'm a sucker for puns and clever names. So
just like Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's a little more bright. It's focusing on my my childhood memories primarily. If you're a lover of 80s, 90s nostalgia, that's what I'm gonna all get into. But from the perspective of growing up in Oak Park, Illinois.
You should get a GPS that takes you back to those,
yeah,
literally.
I would love that. Yeah. I would love that. That sounds like a great idea. But anyway, so you can check out my podcast there on Spotify. And sometimes I still do, on occasion, do podcasts with my friend there. Her podcast is called My Weird Little Podcast, also on Spotify. And you can find many past episodes of ours on there. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how about you?
My production company is called Lucky Bucks Productions, and I've done some short films over the years, a feature film, web series, and I'm always working on different projects. And right now I'm working on a couple of screenplays. So you can find me at Lucky Bucks Productions on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Awesome. Absolutely. Everybody check out all of that stuff, and you can check me and Piecing It Together out. We will be at Downtown Cinemas this Sunday, September 21st for Him. Then we will be back at Downtown Cinemas again on Thursday, October 9th for Tron Aries. Then we will be back at Downtown Cinemas again on Sunday, October 19th for The Last Dragon. And then we'll be back here at Maya Cinemas on Thursday, October 30th for Begonia, the new Yorgos Lanthimos film. So keep an eye out for all of those. You can enter to win tickets for most of them right now, or at least a couple of them. And thank you, everybody, so much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on, everybody. Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about a big, bold, beautiful journey. Thank you to Maya Cinemas for having us out. Thank you to Danny Chandia, Teresa O'Hara, and Darlene Dalmaceda for joining me. Thank you to everyone who showed up, and thank you to you for listening. If you're enjoying piecing it together, make sure you are subscribed. Also, if you are here in Las Vegas and ever interested in joining one of my panels, I'm always looking for new people to get involved in these live shows. Like I said there at the very end of the conversation, I've got 4 coming up, and I am currently scheduling more. So, make sure you get in touch with me. If you are a filmmaker, a film critic, a podcaster, an actor, or just somebody who loves movies, get in touch. I'd love to have you on one of these panels one day. So you could do that at Piecing Pod on all the social medias. You could check out our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces. And you can also check out our website, piecingpod.com. All of those places are places you could connect with me and lots of other film lovers. And I think we could close this one out with a piece of music like I always do. And strangely enough, this episode, the live show, happened to be on my wife and I's anniversary. It's just the way it worked out. We technically have 2 anniversaries because we were a COVID wedding. And so we had the anniversary of the day that we actually got married. Like, we went during COVID with just our parents and nobody else, and went downtown Las Vegas and just went to a little chapel thing and just got married. And then we have the anniversary of our wedding day, which is the following day. Or actually, I'm sorry, I'm mixing those up. Actually, the 19th is the day that we went and got married on COVID in 2020. And then the 18th, when this was in 2021, is when we had the wedding. So anyway, this was one of our 2 back-to-back anniversaries. I gotta go work. I gotta do the podcast that I get paid big bucks for. I'm joking. I don't get paid anything to do this show. I make a little money here and there, but that's about it. Anyway, I had to do the show anyway. And the reason I bring all this up is because for our wedding video, I put together a piece of music. You guys know I'm a music composer. I score films. I do albums of instrumental music. I figured, why not actually score our wedding video? And so I'm going to play that right now because this is a big romance, a big, giant, heart on its sleeve romance, and happened to be on our anniversary. So I'm going to play the music from that wedding video, which you can watch on my Facebook page. I'm going to play that theme from the wedding video. Why not? So we will go with that, and that's today's episode, and we'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
an All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.